Okay, today I'm going to be talking about how I averaged over $400 plus every single day with AdSense. This is US dollars. I have screenshots of it. I did not start this YouTube channel back when this happened. I've been in blogging for 8 years now, and well, not for 8 years now because I sold pretty much all of my blogs, and I'm restarting that journey. I took a 2 year break completely off, but I'll essentially share with you some of my information. If you look through my channel, you may potentially see some of the older content that I may have, where you can see real kind of footage of my AdSense account, of my Google Search Console's account. But if you haven't, it's okay. I'll kind of tell you what I did. So at the time, I had well over 70 plus blogs. I think I had maybe somewhere in the 102 range, maybe 106. 72, 73 of them were actually profitable. So first off, 70 plus blog websites. Okay, so I had a lot of actual websites. And you could see over 30, maybe 32%, 36%, whatever the number was, were inactive websites. They were projects I wanted to start, never got a chance to start them. Do I regret it? No, absolutely not. I made more than 99% of the people in the blogging world. Blogging was my career. It was everything to me, and it's the reason why I became financially free. And I'm here to share the information as best as I can. The first rule is I never chased AdSense. Never did I chase AdSense. Never once in my life did I chase AdSense. AdSense was just a cherry on top. I get people messaging me, at least in the past. People used to message me back when I was talking about blogging all the time, and they would say, how do I make more money on AdSense, bro? How do I do it? The answer is, I don't know, because I never prioritized it. If you look at my numbers, some days I made in the 600 range, some days I made in the 300 range, but if I was to average it, on average I made over $400 a day on Google AdSense because of my blogs. That's not that much money. It made about maybe 5 to 10% of my actual blog revenue. Okay, I made a lot more money selling my own products. I made a lot more money affiliate marketing. I made a lot more money selling newsletters. It was just easier that way. AdSense, like I said, was just the cherry on top. Now, some people might be curious, well, when did you choose AdSense? Because not every single one of my blogs had AdSense. Okay, I don't have a count for you. I don't know how many had AdSense and how many didn't. It was purely just websites that I saw that were lower competition than average, because generally I do go for low competition niches. However, they were lower than normal. They were beyond normal. However, they had a high chance to make me more money. I'll give you a quick example. I had a blog in the pharmaceutical industry, okay? That was a cash cow when it came to AdSense. That was one of my biggest sites. It made me tons of money. My most profitable website had nothing to do with AdSense. It was a treadmill review company website. So I was reviewing all kinds of different treadmills, different applications for the treadmills, how to use them, how to, all kinds of stuff with treadmills. So that was not even an AdSense business. However, I look for, if I'm going to go out there and really put my foot on the line here and really do an AdSense website, I had to go for a website that I knew had a higher chance for high CPMs. Now, there's a way to do that. You can go to any tool, any keyword research tool, and you can search basic CPMs. So for the keyword how to make money online, the average CPM is $2.05, right? If I search the word Candida, okay, which you guys can search what that is, but if I search for Candida, it's kind of like a medicine, not a medicine, but a product. You can see here, okay, I didn't search it properly, but if I search, let's search yeast infection, how about that? I bet you there's more money in advertising about yeast infections than there is in, okay, $1.47, not really, but if I search for GLP-1, which is like Ozempic, you can see how the average CPM has just climbed like 4 times, and that's the average. That's the, combining the low and the high end. If we click on these different keywords and we look at some of them, like you got the word glucagon agonist, $21 CPM at times, right? And that is usually what people will pay just because there's an average. The average is really not something I pay attention to. People are going to pay for ad spots on your website. And I would specifically go for the ones that give me the highest chance possible to earn as much as possible. Okay? And I wasn't really ranking on attention. I wasn't really caring about the amount of views I was getting because I was already going to lower competition niches anyway. I was talking about peptides back when really nobody knew about peptides. I was talking about pharmaceuticals. I was talking about Huperzine. Shout out to everybody who knows what Huperzine is. But things like that. I was talking about things that definitely made me more money than like average topics that people talk about. There's people who start like recipe websites. You're not going to make any money doing that. You're going to stay poor if you do that. And you're specifically focusing on AdSense because the amount of people that have recipe websites out there and they think they're going to start a new blog and they think they have something creative, like I said, they're shooting themselves in the foot. I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to sound like an a-hole when I say this. But the truth is 90% of the people never succeed when it comes to blogging because they have their wrong priorities, they have the wrong ideas in their head, and they stick to whatever they think is right. And I'm telling you, I've been through the ringer. When I say I've been through the ringer, I've been through hell in blogging. I had to figure out what works and what doesn't. I started almost 10 years ago, and 2 of those years were a complete failure. And it was just a brutal, brutal time. So if you want to make money on AdSense, these are really the only 2 things that matter. Lower competition so that you can actually have an easier chance ranking as fast as possible. And the second thing is go for the niche that gives you the higher chance to make more money. If you want to talk about school supplies and how to make brownies and how your weekend was at the Grand Canyon, you're not going to make any money. But if you want to talk about things that specifically have a higher CPM, that's what you can go out to look for. Some people might ask me, like, what are the things that have higher CPMs? Anything in the pharmaceuticals, anything in AI, basically anything where the real money is at is where there is high CPMs. There's somebody, I think like a few years ago, who was adamant that they wanted to start a blog about raving, like dancing and all that. And I said, if you do this, you're probably not going to make that much money. They made the argument to me that it was their passion and all that nonsense. So I said, okay, do what you want, right? I can't control anybody. 6 months later, 10 months later, I can't remember when exactly it was, they ordered a consulting package from me and they asked me, why am I not making any money? Well, I told them months ago. It almost felt like a year ago, but I told them months ago that it was never going to happen for them because the topic at hand, there's no way to monetize it. And they made the argument that they're going to sell these little t-shirts and the merchandise. They're just shooting themselves in the foot. So too many people when it comes down to SEO, when it comes down to blogging, when it comes down to this whole world, they have thoughts in their head like an infection and it doesn't leave their body. They try it and they try it and then it doesn't work and then they give up because they're burnt out. So I wish everybody the best. Never prioritize AdSense if it's my recommendation. I definitely don't recommend it. Figure out how to monetize your businesses other ways. AdSense should just be the cherry on top. And I love when people sit here and tell me, oh, they're on Mediavine and they're on this and that. It's all the same, okay? You might get a little bit more money on Mediavine, double, triple. At the end of the day, you're trading peanuts for dollars. That's really what it comes down to. For every, 5 cents that I would normally make on Mediavine and I end up making 1 cent, right? Through AdSense, it doesn't really matter because my focus is what? I'm making, for every 5 cents you make on Mediavine, I'm making $15 through either a product that I'm selling or, maybe $5 through affiliate. So there's scales to this. And, I wish everybody the best. I wish everybody success. But these are just my tips on how I made it happen. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Bye.